Hi, I am Nevaeh. Nevaeh spelled backwards is heaven. Do you want to get a slushie? Okay. While we walk, let me tell you a few things about myself, and you can tell me about you later. Let's see. I am 12 years old. Can't believe I almost forgot that. If you only knew my life, you would know why I sometimes forget stuff. My twin sister Stella and I were born prematurely at 32 weeks. We only weighed 3 pounds. The doctors told me that I was born with meth in my system and with a cleft lip and palate. I had my first surgery at only 9 weeks old and didn't get a chance to go home to my GMAD until I was 11 weeks old. When I was just 16 months old, I had another surgery on my cleft palate. GMAD told me I was slow to roll over and sit up, but I always tell her I just liked it when she carried me around. I felt so safe in her arms. My GMAD said that when I started walking, I was into everything. I was hard to keep up with. At 5, it was time to go to school. I did not want to go. Leaving GMAD just didn't seem right, and to be honest, I just remember being so scared. I don't know why. I just cried at my desk for the entire first month. I finally started to make friends, and I enjoyed school, especially being the teacher's helper because I could get out of my seat and walk around the classroom. I thought life was great until the teacher kept telling me that I was taking things from other children. I was just very attracted to shiny things. Yeah, I know better now. You can stop checking your pockets. My doctor put me on Ritalin after GMAD and my teacher had a few meetings. The sucky thing was that my doctor said that I had to have another surgery on my cleft palate, the third one, and then I had to have speech therapy to fix what the surgery did to my speech. And then the next year comes up, and guess what? You got it. More surgery and more speech therapy. I was so frustrated and angry. I just lost it at school. One day, my teacher came by my desk and said something. I just punched her in the stomach. Got suspended 2 whole days for that. So I was able to keep my feelings under control for a couple of months, but then I ended up punching my teacher again in the stomach. Got suspended 3 days for that. I don't know what gets into me. It's kind of like things pile up on me. Nevaeh, do your homework. Nevaeh, don't push other kids. Nevaeh, don't steal. Nevaeh, Nevaeh, Nevaeh. It must be the way that the teacher says my name because I punched her in the stomach a 3rd time and got suspended 30 days for that. At this point, even I knew I needed help, but I didn't know how to get it.
I knew that Nevaeh had been acting out at school. She would get frustrated a lot and lose control with her teachers. I wasn't really sure what was going on. I knew that she really missed her dad and his boyfriend James. They were able to spend quality time with her and Stella and always took them to do fun things that I couldn't do because of my health. I felt guilty. I was really doing the best I could on my own.
It was embarrassing when my teacher grabbed me out of class to show the counselor a bruise that I had on my arm. They were all like, "Did GMAD do this to you?" And I'm like, "No way, GMAD would never hurt me." I was getting frustrated with all those questions.
I received a call from the counselor at Wildwood Elementary concerning a bruise Nevaeh had on her arm. The counselor told me that Nevaeh's behavior had become problematic at school. As a result, she was suspended for 30 days. I made a visit to Nevaeh's home to follow up on this report. During my assessment, I met Nevaeh, her twin sister Stella, and their grandmother Dee. I learned that the girls take a hip-hop dance class together, and the bruise was a result of Nevaeh's fight with another dance student. I could see that Dee was overwhelmed and Nevaeh was frustrated. I spoke to Dee about making a referral to Wraparound.
When the DHS worker showed up at my house, I was shocked. He asked a lot of questions, and I told the worker that I felt overwhelmed with my current issues. I was on dialysis 3 days a week, and Nevaeh had started acting out at school. On top of all that, Nevaeh's dad was out of town a lot for work, so it was just me and the girls. It was just too much for me to handle by myself. I didn't know how I was going to be able to take good care of the girls. Wraparound sounded too good to be true. I was not sure they really understood what they were up against or if they really could help us.
Working in the oil field kept me away from home a lot and made it tough on my mom and the girls, and it was hard for me to talk with them every day. I wanted Mom to know that I supported her and the girls. Mom told me how Nevaeh had been acting out and that DHS had been called. Mom felt that she could not take care of the girls without help. I was really worried. A DHS worker had referred Mom to Wraparound. She was skeptical, but I thought, if it can keep our family together, we should give it a try.
I received a referral from DHS about a young girl named Nevaeh. The family support provider and I met with the family. We explained Wraparound to Nevaeh's grandmother, Dee. We talked about building her family team, identifying baseline risk factors, and developing a long-range vision. The long-range vision gave us a picture of the future and what life would be like for Nevaeh and her family when they no longer needed formal wraparound services. Dee signed releases giving us permission to talk with Nevaeh's school counselor, teacher, and the DHS worker. We called the DHS worker to clarify goals for the family and gathered information for the strengths-based assessment. We explained to Dee that the strengths-based assessment was an ongoing process that would help us identify the family's needs, strengths, and family culture so that together we could create an individualized wraparound plan for them.
After talking with the DHS worker, the staff from Nevaeh's school, and hearing from Nevaeh and her family, the care coordinator and I discussed all of the trauma that Nevaeh had experienced. We knew that Nevaeh needed a therapist trained in trauma-focused cognitive behavior therapy, or TFCBT. It was going to be our job to help Nevaeh and her family understand how trauma impacted her.
I met with a care coordinator and family support provider and voiced my concerns about participating in Wraparound. They listened and talked with me about some of their hardest cases and their success stories. Building a family team and having support for our family was something that I really wanted to believe could happen for us. I had talked with Nevaeh's dad, and he wanted to try Wraparound, so I wanted to commit to this for Nevaeh and her sister, for all of us.
Stella is my twin, but she's also my best friend, and I talked to her about all this. She thought that it was worth a try, but they were going to have to show me. I didn't believe that they could help.
I got a call from the Wraparound family support provider. She said Wraparound is for children like Nevaeh and their families. I was determined to be involved even though I was away from home. I love my girls so much, and I was hopeful that this would work for us.
After I spoke with Nevaeh's dad, I could tell that he was going to be on board for Wraparound. I added the information I gathered from him to the strengths-based assessment.
We were well into the engagement phase of Wraparound at this point. To keep the momentum, I met with the family support provider and the therapist to complete the intake and assessments with Nevaeh and Dee. The family support provider attended this meeting to support the family, and I was there to gather more information for the strengths-based assessment, to identify potential team members, and to complete baseline assessments and enrollment paperwork. Dee signed releases of information for Nevaeh's dance teacher and Dee's friends so that we could invite them to be part of the team. Together with Dee, we also identified some other potential team members.
We met with a therapist, and she was nice and so good with Nevaeh. The Wraparound staff told me that the therapist specialized in trauma and could help us understand how Nevaeh's early experiences, like being born early with meth in her system and having multiple surgeries, was affecting her behavior. I started feeling better about our situation at home and at school. The Wraparound team was taking the time to get to know us and working to understand our unique situation so that they could give us the best support possible.
The Wraparound team completed the initial strengths-based assessment with input from Nevaeh, her family, and their therapist. The family reviewed it, signed it, and everyone received a copy of it. I also completed the worker baseline assessment and entered it into the YIS. We contacted the dance teacher and Dee's friend to explain Wraparound to them and invited them to the first meeting, and they agreed to be part of the team. With Dee present, we also contacted other potential team members, including Nevaeh's teacher, school counselor, and cousin, and they agreed to be on the team as well. We created a team that had a good mix of formal and informal supports.
The family support provider and I met with the family and the school staff to conduct a functional assessment and develop a basic crisis plan to address the issue of Nevaeh hitting her teacher. Nevaeh needed some strategies to help her handle her feelings of frustration and anger. The crisis plan included details of the event, such as what happened before and after the incident. This helped us identify triggers that could spur another incident. The plan also included a concrete way to prevent the crisis from reoccurring again, or how to stop it if it happened again. One prevention method identified was for Nevaeh to be able to get a drink when she was feeling itchy and hot, as these feelings often preceded a crisis situation.
When we met with the school staff, they let us know that Nevaeh had an individualized education plan, an IEP. Nevaeh has an IEP because she receives special education services, and under federal law, schools are required to create an IEP for all children receiving such services. Oftentimes during IEP meetings, parents feel lost and don't know how to best advocate for their children. Nevaeh's IEP was something that I kept in mind throughout this process when helping Nevaeh's family learn how to effectively advocate for Nevaeh and be involved in Nevaeh's education.
I only decided to give this a try for Gmod and Stella.
After much preparation, we held our initial child and family team meeting. We all introduced ourselves, and I explained to the team what they could expect at team meetings. I talked about developing a wraparound plan and made sure that team members understood that these meetings would be confidential. We were able to complete the wraparound plan and our team mission statement.
I was so glad we met with the school staff and put together a crisis plan for Nevaeh. I knew this was going to help her. Our initial child and family team meeting went well, and we were getting started with Wraparound. We were learning about each other and what we needed to do for Nevaeh and our family.
After meeting with the school staff, I knew that Nevaeh and her family could benefit from some additional professional support at school, so I brought this need up at the initial child and family team meeting. I felt that since Nevaeh had acted out aggressively, we needed to be proactive and employ the extra support at school that a behavioral health aide or BHA could provide. After talking with the BHA and the team, we developed a plan for the BHA to work with Nevaeh every day at school in her classroom and to provide her with strategies when she felt overwhelmed. The BHA would also work with both Nevaeh and the school staff in focusing on Nevaeh's strengths when addressing behavioral issues.
The child and family team made a lot of progress over the last couple of months. We put a wraparound plan in place that included our team mission, which states that we all support Nevaeh and her family so Nevaeh can be successful in school and in life. We also identified needs and created action steps. One need that we identified was the need for Dee to find someone to pick Nevaeh up from school if she gets sent home while Dee is doing dialysis. Dee's best friend Sandy took on the action step and agreed to pick Nevaeh up if such an event occurred. Another action step was for the care coordinator to make a referral for behavioral health aid services.
I contacted Dee after receiving a request from the care coordinator. I explained our services to her, and we talked about Nevaeh and Dee's concerns. Dee said that she thought it was a good idea for me to be in the classroom with Nevaeh. After observing Nevaeh, I talked with Dee and Nevaeh's teacher, and we made a plan for me to work with Nevaeh at school every day. I also explained to them that Nevaeh's behavior was a result of all the trauma that she had faced early on in her life. I wanted them to see the connection between that trauma and Nevaeh's behavior.
Well, these people sure were working hard. They seemed to be listening to me. I thought I probably needed to give them a chance.
We had a child and family team meeting to update each other on how our plan was working out for Nevaeh. We revised the crisis plan to include the behavioral health aide who works with Nevaeh every morning at school. The aide reported that Nevaeh was doing better and wasn't missing school.
I remember how confused I was and how crazy things were in my mind. I just couldn't wrap my head around every person, every support. I wanted to make Gmod happy, but I was getting annoyed. I ran out of school thinking, I am so over it all. It seems like everybody is all over me. They say that they care, but they really don't. I just had to get out of there. It was all just too much. I ran out of school and hid in the trees. I remember thinking, where is Stella? I just want to talk to my sister.
After Nevaeh ran away from school, we held a child and family team meeting. The behavioral health aide, school counselor, teacher, Dee, and the therapist were all there to update the functional assessment and crisis plan to include a safety plan component to address Nevaeh's leaving the school and hiding. This safety plan included prevention strategies for when Nevaeh got so overwhelmed that she felt like running away, such as Nevaeh going to the principal's office to talk to Stella, who will be available to help calm her, followed up with a call to Dee. Nevaeh's therapist also brought up some concerns about Nevaeh's anxiety. Dee said that she also had the same concerns. Nevaeh's therapist suggested to the team that Dee make an appointment with Nevaeh's primary care physician to talk with him concerning Nevaeh's behavior and anxiety.
The team provided suggestions and guidance as I wrote down the information I wanted to share with Nevaeh's doctor. After hearing about Nevaeh's anxiety and her behavioral issues, her doctor decided to change Nevaeh's current ADHD medication, which was a stimulant, to a non-stimulant medication for ADHD.
One of the great things about Wraparound is that we get to serve the whole family, and a focus of our services and a component of this strength-based assessment is health and wellness. Referring back to the strength-based assessment, we knew that Dee was receiving dialysis and that Stella had asthma. We were concerned that it might be hard for Dee to keep up with all of Nevaeh's medications, so we decided to bring in a nurse care manager to work with us. She would make sure that Nevaeh and Dee had a plan in place for administering Nevaeh's medication at the same time every day, as well as monitor her medication for side effects and effectiveness.
I updated the strengths-based assessment to include the information gathered at the team meetings and shared the updated document with the family. After reviewing it and making additional changes based on the family's feedback, Dee and Nevaeh signed the document. I made a note to follow up with Dee on how Nevaeh was doing on her new medication.
I spoke with my mom and told her that I wanted to come home and help raise my daughters. My mom and the girls were happy for me to come home and be a part of their lives. I had not been around them much, so I knew it would be a transition, but I want to be the kind of parent to them that my mom was to me. I was so excited to get back home to them.
At our next Child and Family Team meeting, we reviewed and updated our strengths-based assessment and talked about some new needs. One of the needs that I thought was important was the need for Nevaeh's dad to participate in Nevaeh's IEP meetings so that he could be an active part of Nevaeh's education. Overall, Nevaeh was doing pretty well.
One of the action steps that I was charged with was supporting Nevaeh's dad and Dee in being an active part of Nevaeh's education, including her IEP meetings. I wanted to connect Dad and Dee to the Oklahoma Parent Center, or OPC. The OPC is an organization that provides information and training to parents, including helping parents learn how to participate in decision-making processes related to their child's IEP. I supported Dad in calling the OPC. At first, he was apprehensive, but I guided him through the process and he practiced what he was going to say. He did a great job.
It felt good to know that people were listening to me. I realized that all they wanted to do was help me. I also liked that my sister Stella was always there with me at the meetings. She understands me better than anybody and loves me no matter what.
We had another child and family team meeting, and I followed up with Dee and Nevaeh about the new medication. Dee said that she felt like the new medicine was working better. Nevaeh's anxiety levels seemed to be improved, and she was not as irritable.
I worked with the family to prep them for the IEP meeting. I also attended the IEP meeting at the school to provide support for the family and invited a representative from the OPC who is supporting Dee and Nevaeh's dad and participating in the IEP meetings. At the meeting, Dee requested that Nevaeh receive extra support for her core academics. The school's director of special education offered summer tutoring for Nevaeh. Dad was able to attend the meeting by conference call, which I think is a good first step in getting him involved. Overall, it was a good meeting, and we have extra supports put in place for the family and Nevaeh.
Dee, Nevaeh, and I completed the 6-month assessments. I updated the strengths-based assessment and reviewed it with Nevaeh, Dee, and Nevaeh's dad.
We came a long way in 6 months, even though we had some setbacks. With our crisis plan in place, I felt like we were going to be able to handle future crises on our own better than before. And I was glad that my son was moving back in with us. I was looking forward to the extra support.
For 3 months leading up to the transition, we held regular team meetings where we worked on updating the Wraparound plan and the crisis plan. We followed up on the Wraparound plan action steps and began working on the transition plan. Everyone contributed, and we met to finalize the transition plan and complete the exit assessments. We also updated the strengths-based assessment and handed out updated copies to the team. Nevaeh and her family were doing a great job facilitating the meetings. I was so proud of them. They grew so much in their confidence and independence throughout this process.
From experience, I knew how life's challenges can drag you down and make you feel bad about yourself. So to see Nevaeh's family facilitate an entire meeting from beginning to end was so rewarding. I think they are going to be okay.
The Wraparound team invited us to the Oklahoma Family Network's Care Notebook training. This training gave me materials and resources to help me get organized and keep track of my appointments, as well as health and school information. With encouragement from our care coordinator and family support provider, we also decided to attend the Rights Law Conference.
I followed up with Nevaeh's dad every month for 3 months after they graduated from Wraparound. I wanted him to know that we would be there for ongoing support for his family.
My boyfriend, James, and I wanted to attend the NAMI Basics training, and I knew right away who to call. I called our family support provider, and she told me when and where the class was being held. The class helped me to understand what mental illness is and the different treatment options available. I also learned how to deal with the strain that mental illness can place on the family and how to begin building an advocacy team for Nevaeh. We wouldn't be where we are today if it weren't for Wraparound. I wasn't sure at first how this would turn out, but I am thankful that Wraparound was there for me and my family. It changed our lives.
Oh look, we made it to the slushie truck. I love the strawberry slushies. Now, after everything that has happened to me, I think that things are going pretty well. I start on the volleyball team. I just love getting to spike the ball at the net and seeing the other team's faces when the ball hits them. Just kidding. What was really awesome was when I looked out and saw so many people from my Wraparound team cheering me on at the first game. It's like I have a new life. My doctor says that I'm small but healthy. One of my goals on my Wraparound plan was to get better at making friends, so I was really excited when I got invited to a sleepover. I'm so happy because things are going so great.